The National Broadcasting Company is proud to be the network of Super Bowl 20. Today, from the Los Angeles Coliseum in Los Angeles, California, it's the Seattle Seahawks versus the Los Angeles Raiders. Brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By the astonishingly simple new Sony Handycam. All the excitement of video movies now in the palm of your hand. And by McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
It is a gorgeous afternoon in Los Angeles, and here are the standings in the AFC West. As you can see, the Los Angeles Raiders and the Seattle Seahawks sandwiched around the Denver Broncos, who won yesterday afternoon. The Seahawks lead the series 9-8. They're the only team in the NFL holding an edge over the Raiders. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Charlie Jones, and this is Merlin Olsen, and we're a little early, but it is playoff time for both teams.
Playoff connotations today for both teams, Charlie, and the Raiders still very much in control in the AFC West. The Seahawks have to win today, and they have to win next week, and then hope for a little help from the Los Angeles Rams in order to get in there and take the division.
But when these two teams meet, it always seems to be a special game.
Well, it's a war, I can tell you that, and I don't expect it to be any different today, Charlie.
And today, the Seattle Seahawks won the toss. They will be receiving, and the Los Angeles Raiders will be kicking off. The temperature in the mid-70s as Chris Barr is all set to start the ball game. Paul Scansey and Randall Morris, the deep backs on the return for the Seattle Seahawks. And it will be down in the end zone. And Seattle will go to work at their own 20-yard line. Randall Morris downing the ball, and here comes the quarterback, Dave Craig, and he has been riding a two-game roller coaster. Let's look at that offensive line. Kreider, Pratt, Bush, Bailey, and Millard, the front five. The receivers, Largent, Ross the tight end, and Turner on the other side. Craig the quarterback with Hughes and Warner behind him. So Seattle first down at their own 20-yard line. Kurt Warner, and he stumbles on the grass. Falls forward to the line of scrimmage. We'll give him a yard to the 21. It'll be second down and 9. Rod Martin was there to cover him. Let's look at the defense of the Raiders. The front three with Long, Piquel, and Sean Jones replacing Lyle Alzado. Van Pelt, Matt Millen, McKenzie, and Martin, the four linebackers. And in the secondary, it is Hayes, Turan, McElroy, and Haynes. Second down and 9. Taking all the time in the world. Warner hit at the line of scrimmage, but still will pick up a couple of yards to the 23, so it's third down and 7. And the grass turf will slow down the offense.
It will slow them down, Charlie, and also this turf at this time of the year, they plant a ryegrass in there. Looks nice, doesn't have much of a footing to it. There's not much of a root system. So you saw Kurt Warner a little earlier slip out. I expect to see some of that slipping and sliding during the day.
Paul Scansey comes in, 3 wide receivers. They'll go to the shotgun. Craig has pressure, and he is sacked, and it is Bill Piquel who gets to it.
Give some credit on that sack to Howie Long coming from the right-hand side. He forced the quarterback, Dave Craig, to step up, and he had to step right up into the rush of Bill Piquel.
Take it back to the 15. It's a loss of 8. Fourth down and 15.
Quick look at it. There you'll see Long right there. You see him getting a hand on the back.
So Dave Fincher punting to Fulton Walker, and the Raiders will come up with great field position. Good kick. Taken at the 40-yard line. Has about 8 yards on the return to the 48-yard line. 45 yards on the kick. Sheldon Robinson was there for the Seattle Seahawks. Let's go to the offense of the Raiders with Mark Wilson, the quarterback. You'll have Davis, Hannah, Mosbar, Marvin, and Lawrence as the front five. Esther, the great tight end, Todd Christensen, and Dokie Williams. Wilson, and then Allens and Hawkins behind it. We're going to mark it at the 47-yard line. First down for Los Angeles. Marcus Allen. And Marcus opens up, picking up 4 yards to the Seattle 49, second down and 6. Bruce Schultz stops him. Let's look at the defense of the Seahawks with Bryant, Nash, and Green, the front three. That's the standard set. And Schultz, Butler, Young, and Schultz again. That should be Jackson on that side. Brown, Harris, Moyer, and Taylor. The change is Paul Moyer for Kenny Easley, the strong safety. Has an ankle problem. They thought and hoped that he would be able to start, but he cannot. And here's Marcus to the left side. And stacked up right at the line of scrimmage. His momentum will carry him to the 48-yard line, so it'll be third down and 5.
Bruce Schultz knows we're expecting a great deal out of him today. He's got to play both outside linebacker positions.
At the same time.
At the same time. We had to make some changes in that lineup because of the absence of Kenny Easley, and that is a real disappointment, I'm sure, to this defensive team. He is their most physical player, their most dominant player, Charlie. When he comes out of that lineup, they do the same things, but they don't do them quite as well.
Wilson to throw. Has pressure, the ball knocked away, and it is recovered by the Seahawks. Seattle with the first turnover of the ball game.
It looked like Jacob Green coming from the left-hand side, who reached back in with a long arm and knocked that ball loose.
Penalty refused. First down.
Tremendous pressure. Looking from the end zone, watch the right-hand side of your screen. I think it's number 79, Green. Look at him, just reach back in there and knock that ball out of the hands of Mark Wilson. We've seen 2 rushes from defensive ends that have caused havoc, wreaked havoc. Again, the inside man getting the benefit of the outside pressure, the leading sacker, Edwards.
And in addition, the Seahawks get credit for a sack as David Hughes gets the call.
So much a game of field position. And right here, the Seahawks having an advantage as they start inside Raider territory. Believe me, they're glad to have that man back in the lineup. He got a stinger, pinched nerve in his neck. He's important as a ball carrier, perhaps even more important, Charlie, as a blocker.
Second down. 7 yards to go for the first down. No score in the ball game. Kurt Warner to the 41-yard line. He has 3, so it'll be third down and 4. Matt Millen with the stop. Used to seeing Kurt Warner on artificial turf, and he moves quicker because all players move quicker on the artificial surface. What effect does playing on grass? He doesn't play on grass but 3 or 4 times a year. What effect does that have on his game?
Well, he says he likes playing on the grass. He said he certainly it's softer when he hits on it, but it does take away some of his quickness. And I think that's been one of his problems this year, Charlie. He has not been as quick to the hole during this season.
4 wide receivers as Scansey and Walker come in. The pass is complete.
Scansey. What a nice play. And Scansey is more and more taking on the characteristics of his tutor, Steve Largent. Look at the little shake, the little moves on the inside, working on Sammy Seal. You notice they put 3 wide receivers on the right-hand side, and they throw to the single man on the inside. The pass a little bit behind Scansey. He did a good job of containing it.
It goes for a gain of 7 to the Raiders' 34-yard line, first down. Here's Hughes to the outside and bumped out by Turan. Stacy Turan bumping David Hughes out as he couldn't quite get around the corner.
Stacy Turan getting playing time because of the absence of Mike Davis, who, by the way, is ready to come back now. You see a little shot right there from Turan, who in playing that position, I'm sure, has watched Mike Davis, who's a very physical player, and Turan has accepted the responsibility as a strong safety of providing that kind of run support.
2nd down and 8. The ball at the Raiders' 32-yard line. No score. 9:22 time remaining first quarter. Here's Kurt Warner. Hit at the line of scrimmage, the 32, and then spins to the 29, so he picks up 3, but it'll be 3rd down and 5 for the Seahawks. As Howie Long was there for Los Angeles, along with Reggie McKenzie, the rookie from Tennessee. And there's a good look at Howie Long.
Tremendous player. He's already played 3 different positions along the line. Usually plays at the left end position on the first down. Has moved over to play on the nose on a rushing down, and then way outside at the right end, also on a rushing down. He's at the right tackle position here.
3rd down and 5. The Seahawks go with 4 wide receivers. And there's Largent. Largent pulls it in for the first down. Stacy Turan dropped him at the 17-yard line. He'll pick up 13 on the play and a first down.
Steve Largent, what a great receiver he is. Watch him as he comes off the line here. A chance to just turn him loose. Watch the kinds of moves he'll put on Lester Hayes. See how he gets Hayes moving out to the outside and then breaks to the inside. He is such a master at forcing defensive backs to do what they don't want to do.
Craig is 2 for 2, 19 yards through the air. And here's Warner, slipping one tackle in the backfield, and he'll be dropped for a loss. Kurt will lose a couple of yards back to the 19. It'll be 2nd down and 12. Sean Jones was there to wrap him up. What a story this young man is, number 99. He comes on to replace Lyle Alzado in the last 3 ball games. Alzado out with the injury, and he's really taken up the slack, no problem.
22 years old. He's just a kid. 6'7", 285 pounds. I'm envious of anyone who grows that big that quickly.
And he has 5 sacks in the last 3 ball games. 2nd down and 12. Largent in motion. Craig has pressure, wants to throw a screen. He's throwing this one away. He won't call it, though, because he underthrows David Hughes. And it was Howie Long who had the pursuit on the quarterback. So it'll be 3rd down and 12.
They tried to double team on Howie Long. He was over at the right tackle position. He just split the 2 of them. Blair Bush and Ed Bailey just blew right between those 2 blockers and was all over Craig, and Craig had to throw it away. I think the thing that makes Howie Long so tough as a pass rusher is the fact that he rips equally well with either arm and has such incredible strength.
3rd down and 12. 4 wide receivers. And is dropped by Darrell Turner. So it'll be 4th down and 12, and the field goal team will come in.
Charlie, Turner had been in somewhat of a slump. He got out of it last week with 2 big touchdown catches, but one of his problems has been concentration. He's still a young receiver, tends to lose the ball and drop it, just loses concentration. I don't know what his problem is, but they're hoping that he'll get his act together here today.
Norm Johnson, the holder is Gail Gilbert. Gilbert has been the holder for the last 5 ball games for Johnson, and Johnson has hit 6 of 9. This one from 37 yards away. And it is good from 37 yards out. And so the Seahawks open the scoring at the 6:24 mark, time remaining in the first quarter. And they capitalized on a turnover. Let's go back to the field goal.
You mentioned Gilbert as the holder. Johnson has had 3 holders on the year. Started out with Zorn holding, then Largent came in and held for a while, and then Gilbert became the holder for him. And Johnson has gone from a Pro Bowl season to a very mediocre year, has had problems, and one of the problems was confidence. He simply was not able to have confidence, and you see the work of that holder. So important, the spotting of the ball, getting it down there, the feeling that it's going to be there for that kicker.
During the drive, the Seahawks held the ball 5 minutes and 7 seconds. And it's almost vintage Seattle because they started the drive at the 47-yard line of the Raiders. They started it with a turnover when Jacob Green caused the fumble and Randy Edwards recovered the football.
Absolutely right. And Knox, if he has his choice, would run the football, would control the football. He's had to go to the passing game because they have not been able to dominate on the line of scrimmage the way they would like to be able to do it. But you'll see him running the football frequently. In fact, as frequently as he feels he can get away with it.
Tipped by one of the upbacks and then picked up by Fulton Walker. It was Derek Jensen who was the upback. And then Fulton Walker picked it up and returned it to the 18-yard line, where the Raiders will go to work. Sam Merriman was down covering for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, when you played for Chuck Knox back in 1973, you really ran the ball compared to what he does now.
That's absolutely true. Knox came as an assistant coach from Detroit, took the head job in Los Angeles, and that was his first year, 1973. Look at the pass rush as the passing plays as opposed to the rushing plays. Now look at what's happened this year. Knox has not been able to run the football like he wants to. He's had to resort to the passing game, and he's done it because he felt he had to do it to win.
Seattle out in front, 3-0. Little play action fake to Hawkins. Wilson has all the time in the world. Sliding reception at the 38-yard line by Dokie Williams. And it's a first down for Los Angeles. Michael Jackson finally got there for the Seahawks, but Dokie was wide open.
A chance to take a peek at Mark Wilson getting back and setting up. Look at how much time he has to look over that offense. And there you saw the trigger has got to throw it over the head of that linebacker. Dokie Williams having to go down and pick up that football. Did a good job of adjusting to that ball. And
a gain of 21 yards on the play from the 18 to the 39. Marcus Allen, the remaining back, as Hawkins moves over on the right flank. And then comes back in motion. And here's Marcus. Starts, stops, circles back, picks up blockers, reverses again, and he'll lose 4.
This is kind of like basketball, back and forth across the court. Looking from the sideline, you see number 50, Freddie Young right here, starts to the inside on a stud. Now he sees Marcus outside, goes after him on the outside. Marcus comes back this way. Freddie says, hey, I got to go back the other way. Now he's got to turn back around again. And finally, he's the man that nailed Marcus. There was just nowhere to go in the middle there.
Marcus losing 4, second and 14.
I think that's called having a nose for the football.
And here's Marcus again, and this time he is down as Jeff Bryant was just waiting in the hole for him.
Marcus Allen has, I think, in the latter part of this season, been running better than anyone in the NFL. I think today he'll have a chance of taking back his lead as a rusher in the NFL because of an injury to Riggs earlier in the day. But Marcus is just storming over the top of people, and he's running with such confidence and such control. But you saw right there that against the fired-up defense, that sometimes doesn't help.
Third down and 14. A flag back at the 26-yard line, but Mark Wilson just laid it in the hands of Dokie Williams. He had a step on Keith Simpson.
Well, maybe it's just that football.
Fourth down.
Because a holding call is going to bring it all back. A little stun on the inside. You see Nash stunning in there with Randy Edwards, but they picked it up nicely. There's the ball dropping right through the hands of Dokie Williams. That's a tough catch to make, but that's the kind you've got to make if you're a good receiver.
And Ray Guy with a boomer. Paul Scansey takes it at the 9. And has about 8 or 9 yards on the return. But a great putt by Ray Guy. 56 yards with an 8-yard return. And James Davis was down to cover very quickly.
Charlie, you talked about it earlier, the kind of roller coaster year that Dave Craig has had. It's a season of twos, 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 wins, 2 losses, all during the year. And look at this stat. It just knocks your eyes out. In the 8 wins, 22 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. In the 6 losses, almost the reverse kind of numbers. 4 TDs, 15 interceptions.
Here's Kurt Warner. And Warner will pick up a couple of yards. Give him 3 to the 21, so it's 2nd and 7 as Sean Jones is there to stop him.
Charlie, one thing you know about Craig is that he usually sets the tempo early in the game. And if that is true, then this game is going to be a pretty good one for him. He's coming off a couple of very good ball games.
And also interesting is that the quarterback for the Raiders, Mark Wilson, he could go hot and cold in the same ball game.
Within the same game.
He's had very bad first halves in the last 3 games, but very good second halves. Now, Craig, he's either good or bad for the whole outing. Here's David Hughes. And Hughes will move to the 24-yard line, so he'll have 3. And it's 3rd down and 4, and that means that the Seahawks will be throwing. Reggie McKenzie making the tackle for the Raiders.
You might be asking, why aren't the Hawks able to make more yards rushing? Well, one of the answers to that, the Raiders are number 4 in the NFL, 4th best rushing defense in the league. And that young man right there has been one of the reasons. Reggie McKenzie from that inside linebacking position has just been outstanding as a rookie.
3rd down and 4, 4 wide receivers. They go to the shotgun. Howie Long jumps the gun, and the pass is incomplete. There wasn't anybody over there, but Howie was coming right into the face of Dave Craig.
'75 defense, offside, 5-yard penalty. Will replay the 3rd down.
I'm not sure that they'll replay the 3rd down. It may be a 1st down. We have it as 3rd down and 4. Unless there was an offsetting penalty.
Well, we all like to believe our names are a little bit unique and unusual.
5-yard penalty made it a 1st down.
We'd like to suggest that the real Reggie McKenzie please stand up. Now that's Reggie McKenzie hiding back there. We had him moment. There he is with the cap on, of Buffalo Bill fame, and now
and of Seattle
Seahawks fame. Played there so successfully. And there's the other Reggie McKenzie. It's kind of like having a son to carry on the honor of.
Carry on the tradition.
They're not related, by the way, Charlie. They just happen to have exactly the same name.
Brad Van Belt pulling down Kurt Warner. And, of course, one played offense, and the other now does play defense. Absolutely. And you know they don't, as you know, defensive and offensive players don't talk to each other.
Van Pelt took a pretty good shot right there, and you see the blood running down. This is always a physical game between these two teams.
1 minute and 40 seconds and counting. That is the time remaining in the first quarter. 2nd down and 13 after that loss of 3. Seahawks in front of the Raiders 3-0. We're in the first quarter. On the drive, Kurt Warner set off inside, jumps to the outside, but cannot slip the tackle of James Davis, and there's a flag down.
I believe that's going to be a late hit, and that's such a costly penalty. They were going to have a 3rd and very long situation lined up against the Seahawks. And if that penalty goes against the Raiders...
Face mask penalty, 5-yard penalty, number 45 defense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty. Will replay the down.
Does not carry the 5-yard face mask. The rule change does not carry the 1st down. The 15 does.
I didn't see there's the face mask. I thought perhaps it was a late hit. But you could see the head just popped down there. Didn't have a hold of it long, but did have a hold of the mask momentarily.
We'd like to welcome those of you who've been watching the Buffalo-Pittsburgh ball game. Pittsburgh winning that one 30-24. They had to come from behind to do it, as Buffalo was out in front by a score of 21-0 in that ball game. And here the score is Seattle 3 and the Raiders 0, with 57 seconds left to go in the first quarter. Down goes over 2nd and 9 as the ball moves up just outside the 30-yard line. Craig wants to go deep to Largent, and it is incomplete. Mike Haynes had the coverage, so it'll be 3rd down and 9. It's a very sunny day, warm temperature in the mid-70s. You can see the shadows. Does that become a problem on the field here?
The sun can become a problem late in the game. Kind of drops down over behind one corner. And in the far right-hand end zone, looking back into that sun sometimes can be a problem for receivers or people catching punts or kicks. But that's a little later in the day, Charlie.
Third down and 9. 4 wide receivers. Scansey in motion. Raiders rushing 4. There's pressure from behind. There's a fumble. And the Raiders say they have it. And they do. Townsend caused it.
It was Greg Townsend, you might remember, that was able to jump on that fumble last week that set up that winning field goal in overtime against the Denver Broncos. Let's see if we can see what happens here. Craig had already been forced up into the sack earlier. There he is from the outside, 93. Well, we don't get a chance to see what he did, but you saw him coming from behind and just stripping the ball out of the hands of Dave Craig. That's exactly what happened to Mark Wilson a few moments ago.
And John Jones recovered it. The turnover to the Raiders with great field position. And here comes Marcus Allen. He fumbles the ball. Pop loose, and the Seattle Seahawks say that they have it right back.
What a wonderful opportunity for the Raiders. They had good field position, and they turned the ball right back. One of the things you have to know about this Seahawk football team, they are always thinking about stripping the football, taking it away. Marcus Allen starts inside, quickly breaks outside. Butler gets a piece of that ball. Somebody popped it from behind. And you see right there, Dave Brown, no, that's Moyer, dragging along behind. Marcus was trying to get out there and recover his own fumble, and Moyer is dragging on to keep him from getting back to the football.
And Dave Brown is the man who recovered it. The turnovers, as you see, 2-1. And all 3 have been fumbles. So Seattle has the ball at their own 20-yard line, first down. Seahawks lead at 3-0. 25 seconds left to go in the first quarter. And here's Kurt Warner. Cuts back in. He's to the 25 and picks up the first down. A gain of 11 yards on the play. That is the longest rushing play for Kurt Warner in this ballgame. Kurt Warner
in his rookie year had so many runs just like this, Charlie. He is still able to do some fine work once he gets to the hole. Has not been as good this year at exploding to the hole.
And with that play, the first quarter comes to a close. And you can color it Seattle Seahawk blue because they have dominated the ball game to the extent that it could be dominated. They lead in turnovers 2-1. They lead in the score 3-0. But that is really, domination is the wrong word. I made a wrong word. I was correct.
They have taken
I'll go stand in the corner.
They took advantage, Charlie, of the big opportunity they had when they recovered that ball, fumbled by Mark Wilson at about their own 46, 47-yard line. They were able to move it down and get that field goal. The Raiders, on the other hand, have started in their own territory many times, but in the biggest opportunity they had, which was also a quarterback fumble by Craig, turned it right back over to the Seattle.
Very fast-moving first quarter. Do you get any kind of a feel on the ball game?
I don't think that either team has really established a feel yet. And one thing we have seen is that Mark Wilson, you saw him there on the sideline, has been given quite a bit of time to throw the football, although he was sacked once earlier in the ballgame. Now, that may not bode well for the Seahawks defense later in the day.
Look at time of possession.
Time of possession, and much of that first long drive by the Seahawks, over 5 minutes. And that's what they'd like to do. They'd like to be able to control the football. In doing that, they can keep the Raider offense off the field.
There's Chuck Knox, the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Are the Seahawks overachievers?
Well, Knox has been asked that question. He says he doesn't feel that way. He said, we've got some great football players. I'll tell you, I think the Seahawks defense has matured to a point where they are not necessarily overachievers. They're tough week in and week out. but I do believe that the Seahawks offense is an overachiever kind of an offense, and they have played over their heads. They did a lot of that last year without Warner, and this year they've had some problems adjusting and playing up to the level that Knox and the fans up in Seattle expected of them.
Let me make a correction. We had Dave Brown recovering that last fumble. We hear from the sideline that it is Jeff Bryant. Kurt Warner, Brad Van Pelt for Los Angeles. The play moving for 3 yards to the 34, so it's 2nd down and 7. We'd like to welcome those of you who have been watching the Cincinnati-Washington game. The final, Washington wins it 27-24. This is Charlie Jones and Merlin Olsen. And we're in the Coliseum in Los Angeles as 2 flags go flying. The Raiders and the Seahawks, with Seattle leading by a score of 3-0, courtesy of Norm Johnson in the 37-yard field goal. Now we'll go back to check out the flag.
Rob Mark on the tackle.
On the inside, if you watch carefully, we'll let there you
holding 59 offense, 10-yard penalty. We'll replay the 2nd down.
That's Blair Bush, the center.
Let's go inside. Watch Howie Long now. Howie's just going to drive to the inside. Now watch what Blair Bush does as Howie does a little slap movement. Blair just reaches up and takes a hold of Howie's face mask. Well, not his face mask. He's got his shoulder pad. He's got inside, got a hold of the shoulder pad, and he's just got an arm block on him, trying to keep him from blowing through that gap.
With the penalty, back to the 24, 2nd down and 17. And here's Kurt Warner. Flag down. Warner out at the 26-yard line as the play holds.
I think we got a holding call, Charlie.
It is holding against Seattle, and they'll take it, keep moving him back.
Yeah, I think it's Bob Kreider out there trying to keep his man from breaking free to the outside.
Question, now there have been 2 holding calls in a row. Now as an offensive lineman.
78 offense, 10-yard penalty. We'll still replay the 2nd down.
As an offensive lineman, can you now hold this time, figuring there's no way they're going to call it 3 times in a row?
Well, there's an awful lot of undetected holding on the line of scrimmage, but I'll tell you, got to be smart about that. You don't want to do it out in the middle of the field.
And now we'd like to welcome those of you who have been watching the Houston-Cleveland game. The Cleveland won 28-21. Here in the Coliseum, we have just over 13 and a half minutes to go in the 2nd quarter. And Seattle is out in front of the Raiders by a score of 3-0 as Kurt Warner carried to the last play, and Howie Long was there for the Raiders. And that was 2nd down and 27 following a couple of penalties.
Delayed game.
And here's another one.
The field for the defense. 5-yard penalty. We'll replay the down.
Well, that's one way to stop the offense. You put 12 guys out there and make it tough on them. And, you know, Charlie, that sounds like it's so undisciplined, but in today's defensive schemes, you're running so many people on and off the field that that's the kind of thing that can happen.
So it'll be 2nd down and 23. The ball now at the Seattle 19-yard line. Seahawks out in front, 3-0. The key block to open the hole, and Hughes goes to the 24-yard line, gain of 5. So it'll be 3rd down as we go to Bob Costas for an update. Well, congratulations to Dallas for capturing the championship of the East in the AFC West. Well, it's still a wide open affair.
We've talked about roller coaster seasons. They have had one this year too.
And the roller coaster hit some bottoms I don't think the Cowboys had seen in a long time. Craig over the middle. It is Eric Lane out of the backfield. And Lane goes to the 40-yard line. A gain of 16 yards on the play. And Stacy Turan makes the tackle. And it's a yard and a half shy of the 1st down.
Eric Lane falls into that category. You asked the question about overachievers. He is a classic overachiever. Doc says it well. He says, here's a guy who knows what he's supposed to do and how to do it, and he's going to give you 100% every play.
Here's Dave Bincer to kick, and Fulton Walker is set for the return. Pretty good kick. It turns over, and Walker takes it at the 17-yard line. And he'll return to about the 24-yard line. Hang time, 4 seconds even. We've got a timeout. Seahawks lead it 3-0. This is Charlie Jones, Merlin Olsen, and what's at stake today in this ballgame? Very interesting.
Very simple for the Raiders. They can clinch the division title with a win today. They have a chance to have home field all the way. Seattle, on the other hand, has to win today and win their last game, and then hope that the Raiders lose to the Rams the following week in order for them to walk away with the divisional crown.
So the Raiders, if they win today or if they win next week, they're the champions?
If they win all the way out, they have home field throughout the playoffs, and that is such an important factor.
And from Seattle's standpoint, they need to beat the Raiders and then next Friday night beat Denver at home and then hope for help from the Rams. Raiders going deep, and it is Jesse Hester. Vintage Raider play to the 33-yard line. John Harris stopping the rookie from Florida State, Jesse Hester, 43 yards.
Mark Wilson, who's had his own ups and downs during this season, able to get a long bomb in here. Watch how long this ball hangs in the air. He really puts a rainbow on those long passes. In fact, they're almost long enough up there for John Harris, 44, to get over and get a shot at it. Some good time, good blocking inside by most by the center on that last play.
First down, Seattle 33. And here's Marcus Allen. Allen goes to the 26-yard line. He picked up 7. It'll be second down and 3. Fred Young with the tackle. Now, coming into the game, Marcus was 21 yards behind Gerald Riggs for the rushing title in the National Football League. Riggs at Atlanta had 13 yards today, then went out with a knee injury. So starting this game, Marcus needed only 34 yards to take over the rushing title in the National Football League. And he has 6 carries and 14 yards, so he's part of the way there. And here he comes again. He goes to the 22-yard line, so he'll pick up the first down. Fred Young makes a tackle along with Greg Gage, and now let's go to the scoreboard, see what all has happened today. We mentioned that final. Dallas now the champions of the East, defeating the Giants. Washington edging Cincinnati in a close one, 27-24. 49ers, as expected, over New Orleans. Cleveland over Houston, 28-21. Pittsburgh had to come from behind against Buffalo to do it. Buffalo led 21-0 in that ball game. Indianapolis over Tampa Bay, 31-23. And by 1, it was Atlanta over Minnesota. Green Bay in a close one over Detroit. And here's Marcus Allen from the 22 to the 17, so that's 5. It'll be second down and 5. Of the late games that started at the same time that the ball game started here in the Coliseum. Here's an update on those scores. Rams leading St. Louis by a score of 13-7. And Philadelphia over San Diego 7-0 in San Diego. And the score here in the Coliseum on a beautiful afternoon. The temperature in the mid-70s. Seattle 3, but the Raiders driving. Second down and 5 at the 17. Marcus wants to throw. And he overthrows. Flag is down. He overthrows Doki Williams with a flag dropped at the tip.
John Harris coming up to try and work against that run by Marcus Allen. Saw that Allen stopped to throw the ball, and he just reached out and hooked Doki Williams. Watch Marcus as he heads to the sideline. A hard pass to throw, just a few steps, and puts it over the top. Williams not able to get there, but simply because he was grabbed.
Number 44.
Third time this year that Marcus has thrown the ball. His completions 1 of 2 prior to this one.
Maybe we'll be able to see the yank, well, it's just a little out of our picture there, but you can see right here you saw Harris getting up off the ground, number 44, and Doki shaking his head already, hoping the officials spotted it, which he did. They've got great field position, Charlie, down just outside of the 10-yard line.
And it's first down. And here's Marcus coming inside and diving to the 5-yard line. So he'll pick up 5, and it'll be second down and 5. And if you look at the change, they could pick up a first down about 4 inches from the goal line. Fred Young makes the tackle. So in reality, it's second and 5 at the 5, and Marcus now has carried 9 times for 29 yards.
Now, there's no question that they want to have the football in his hands, and you look at this chart and you know why. Having his greatest season ever.
Second down. Hopkins in motion. Incomplete. Jokey Williams, the intended receiver. Terry Taylor had the coverage. I'm surprised on the call. I was looking for Marcus. Were you?
Well, I think they've got to mix it up, Charlie. And I'll tell you, when you get that ball and it's nosed up on the 10-yard line, that's the toughest 10 yards in all of football. You've got a short field to work with. And, of course, Mark Wilson doesn't call his own plays. The Raider quarterbacks used to. They're all being called from the sideline and off a basic game plan. And you've got to be a little unpredictable.
Mark Wilson has completed 2 of 4 for 65 yards. Of course, the big one in this drive of 44 yards. He doesn't like what he sees or what he received for the bench. We'll take a timeout. 7:52 left to go in the second quarter. Seattle on top by 3. Jones, this is Merlin Olsen. For 15 years, you played here in the Coliseum. Now, right now, the defenders are almost in the end zone. Is this the toughest part of the field here in the Coliseum for a defensive player?
I'll tell you, anytime your feet are in the end zone, you know it's tough on the defense, but that's where the adrenaline starts to pump. The big men really determine what happens in this kind of situation, either in a rushing part of the game or protecting that passer. Believe me, there are some collisions that are going to take place momentarily down there.
And you're talking about this is a 4-point down. If the Seahawks hold them, then the Raiders will go for the field goal in the tie. Todd Christensen, the intended receiver, and a flag is down. Now, if memory serves me right, that's the first time that he's gone to Christensen in the ball game.
Well, he likes to go to his money receivers in that kind of situation, and it looks like the penalty is going to go against the Raiders. Now, in the game that the Raiders played against the Broncos last week, there were a number of offensive interference calls against the Raiders. Let's see if that's what it is here.
Interference, 46 offense, penalties reviewed, 4th down.
And if you notice, Todd Christensen, when he talked to the first of it, then he went to the deep official to see if somebody else would say, maybe agree with him.
Well, if ever you could put the money receivers on 2 people in one game, you do it here with Christensen and Largent. Christensen, of course, working a little too hard to get free on that play.
23-yard attempt. And we've got a tie ball game as Chris Barr puts it up. And we'll take a timeout. It's all tied at 3-3. Chuck Knox holding a 6-1 regular season mark over the Raiders. You played for Chuck. Why has he been so successful against the Los Angeles Raiders?
Because he gets his teams to play tough football, basically, Charlie.
Taken at the 3-yard line by Randall Morris. And Morris is cut down at the 16. Now let's go back to Chuck Knox for a moment. Let's not get away from that, because he is tough, and his ball players play tough, and they are not intimidated. He does not allow them to be intimidated.
I think that's part of the key. He talks about being tougher and smarter and in better condition than your opponents, but he tells his players, look, if they want to fight out there, we don't let them push us around. And he's got the Seahawks team to where sometimes they're not only not intimidated, they're the enforcers themselves. They're the intimidators.
Mark it at the Seahawks 15-yard line and a first down for Seattle. But this time, the Raiders were the intimidators. Howie Long decking Randall Morris. Woo!
You could hear that shot all the way up here in the booth, and we are a long ways from the field. watch it for yourselves. Long driving in, boom! Just an explosion. Amazing that Morris didn't go right to the ground. Howie's wife on the sideline, Diane Long, and
Carol Piquel.
Yeah, Carol Piquel right next to her.
Loss of 3, second and 13. Randall Morris and David Hughes are the running backs. Hughes just barely back to the line of scrimmage. Greg Townsend making the tackle. It will be third down and 13.
Kurt Warner out of the ball game, I would imagine, for a breather at this moment, but no one's getting any rest out there for that Seahawk offense as they are just being pushed around at the moment. Tremendous flow, good flow to the football by that Raider defense. They had 3 or 4 people in position to make that tackle, and absolutely no room for Randall Morris.
We're moving on the 6-minute mark, time remaining in the first half. Third down and 13. Seahawks with 4 wide receivers. Raiders rushing 4. And it is incomplete. Scansey, the intended receiver, but in reality, Craig was throwing the ball away.
Craig in trouble, and I think hoping that Scansey might have that kind of coordination that he has with Steve Largent. Well, there's Kenny Easley, even out of uniform today. I didn't expect that. He was in uniform before the game today, but not expected to play. His ankle's so bad they had it in a cast until last Monday, and that's Easley in the baseball cap there. Easley, of course, an intimidator, the kind of player that you love to have playing for you.
Finster kicking to Fulton Walker, and also in the ballgame in the Kingdom had a key punt return that set up a score. And Walker takes it at the 41-yard line. And is cut down after return and stays on his feet and fights his way back. The ball pops loose. The Raiders recover it. 47 yards and an exciting 5-yard return with almost everything in the world happening. Sam Merriman was there for the defense. In 41 seconds, that is the time remaining in the first half. Seattle and the Raiders deadlocked at 3-3 again. If the Raiders win today, they are the champions of the West. If they win today and next week, they have home field advantage all the way through. If Seattle wins today, they need to win again next week against Denver and hope that the Rams beat the Raiders, then they would be the champions. Wilson drops this one off to Marcus Allen. Allen, a great fake to the outside in the red line, so he picks up 5. It'll be 2nd and 5. Michael Jackson brings him down at that point.
A lot of teams have to substitute to put a great pass receiver into that backfield in the place of a running back. You don't have to do that. Marcus Allen back there catching that one from Wilson. Marcus is one of the most sure-handed receivers on the field.
So it's 2nd and 5. Jesse Hester now reversing. And here comes Marcus as he reverses, but he'll lose a couple of yards to the 46, so it's going to be 3rd down and 7 as Fred Young was there. You can take it one step further with the Raiders. You never see them with 4 wide receivers, Marcus being one of the reasons, because he's such a good receiver, and the other is that the tight end Todd Christensen is such a good receiver, they just split him out.
Very difficult to take those people out of the ballgame. And the other thing, that when you have them in the ballgame, you also have the option of running on those long yardage situations, and the defense must respect the offense's ability to do that.
3rd down and 7. Ball game tied at 3-3 with 4:25 time remaining in the first half. And here's Mark Wilson, and the pass is complete to Hester. Down the sideline, pushed out of bounds at the 29-yard line. Dave Brown pushed him out at the 29.
A chance to look at some of the different kinds of stunts that are being run. Watch the lineman on the nose moving inside, Gaines moving inside, Randy Edwards coming all the way around. But even though they try and get some pressure on Mark Wilson here, that's Nash coming around 72, he's still able to get that pass off, and Dave Brown beaten on the sideline by Jesse Hester, number 84. Hester with great speed, and you see Brown having to respect that speed. That's what made that pass work.
It goes for a gain of 25 as Marcus Allen comes back with the call. And he'll pick up 4 yards to the 25, second down and 6. Joe Nash is the man who stopped it.
Charlie, I mentioned earlier that Mark Wilson is no longer calling his own plays. And he had never called his own plays, even going back to Pop Warner football. All through high school and college, they were called for him. When he came to the Raiders, he accepted that responsibility, but I don't think he was ever totally comfortable with it.
Marcus Allen, 11 carries, 31 yards. Wilson, 4 of 7, 95 yards to the air. And this time, Marcus is stacked up right at the line of scrimmage.
Talking about calling the plays, there were some interesting articles in the papers here in Los Angeles. They were talking about the fact that the last time these teams played, that the Seahawks had players on the sideline, Dan Dornick with field glasses, looking at Larry Keenan, the quarterback coach, who signals in the plays to Marcus Allen. And a lot of spy innuendos into that. And, of course, the Raiders said, how in the world could he do that? He doesn't have that list on his wrist. Unless he did, he can't do that.
But they did change their signals. Is that correct?
They did, yes.
Third down. It is complete at the 20-yard line to Todd Christensen. They're going to mark it just past the 20. I don't think it'll be enough for the first down. They had to go to the 19. It's about the length of the football short of the first down. Paul Moyer was there for the Seahawks.
2 things to look for here. Watch how Christensen will work to get open and protect that football with his body. Now, if Kenny Easley were in the game, that would be Easley there instead of Moyer. Easley, a master at attacking the man and the football, might have made that catch a lot more difficult.
Now, it is 4th down and a foot. They're going to check it out with the change. One of the reasons that they bring the change out, even though you can pretty well tell it's short, is they want to mark it that exact amount with the chain. Now, notice that now they'll bring the ball over to the hash mark with the chain.
That's always been a bit of a mystery to me because they'll call the mark sometimes from 50 feet away. So, oh, yeah, put it down right there. That's good. I like that.
That's right.
The measurement also gives this man, Tom Flores, a little time to think about what he wants to do, and he's decided to go for it here.
And the Raiders have made 6 of their 11 4th down attempts this season. 3 tight ends. 4th down and less than a foot. And it's Marcus, and he's got it with yards and yards to spare. 13-yard line. Gain of 6, first down. Excellent crowd on hand here at the Coliseum. It'll be around the 80,000 mark. And now we have the 2-minute warning given to both benches, and we'll be back in a ballgame that is tied 3-3.
Watch Parker, Davis, and Hanna as they drive that Seahawk defensive line off. Now, let's watch here for just a second. Stop it right there. Now, watch Paul Moyer here going after that football, trying to strip that football away. Reaches in. He's not trying to make the tackle. He is trying to break that ball out of the hands of Marcus Allen.
First down at the 13-yard line. Dropped off in the right flat. And this is Frank Hawkins. And Hawkins goes to the 5-yard line. He picks up 8. Second down and a couple. Bruce Schultz was there.
The tail end of that last play. Now, this was not the play you just saw, the pass. This is the run by Marcus Allen. And there's Moyer just trying to work at that football. Worked it with his left hand, tried to pop his right hand through there to shake the ball loose.
Marcus Allen, 1,569 yards. That's current. That's as of this moment. Gerald Riggs of Atlanta had only 13 yards, 13 today, and then was injured, 1,561. So Marcus now leads the National Football League in rushing and will continue to add to that total as Frank Hawkins gets the call here. And could possibly, yes, we'll pick up the first down. He'll go to the 2-yard line. It'll be first down and goal to go. Michael Jackson leading the Seattle Seahawks defense. You don't hear that much about Frank Hawkins.
Well, and when you're in the same backfield with Marcus Allen, it's kind of hard. And yet he is one of the reasons that Marcus Allen has been so successful. Blocking extremely well for Marcus. And, of course, when Marcus goes to the left, a lot of people go with it.
Christensen. A flag is down. It is in the end zone, but there was a marker throw.
Christensen flagged just a few plays earlier for offensive interference, using his shoulders and pushing to get room. Let's see who they decide to call it on here.
Interference, 46 offense, 10-yard penalty.
Todd Christensen. Now, what the Seahawks did, what they did the last time they played, early, on the first down, we'll go to the play and then I'll tell you the story.
Let's get a chance to look at it. Wilson looking off the defense, started to his left and came right back. Obviously, the bumping that had taken place between Michael Jackson and Todd Christensen had taken place before we got there, but that's twice today, and that is, you don't see that many offensive interference calls during the year.
When these two teams met in the Kingdom, on first down situations, the Seahawks would stay in the zone but put a man on Christensen. They wanted to take him out.
Shadow him all day long.
Here's Marcus. And Marcus Allen goes from the 12 to the 8. It's first down and goal to go back at the 12 after the 10-yard penalty. It'll now be second down, goal to go. We'll take a timeout. 30 seconds left to go in the first half. We've got a timeout. This is Charlie Jones, Merlin Olsen with 30 seconds left to go in the first half here in the Coliseum. The score, the Seattle Seahawks 3, the Los Angeles Raiders 3. And the Raiders have the ball at the Seattle 8-yard line. It's second down and goal to go.
Almost a duplicate performance of what happened to the Raider offense earlier as they got down in this position. An interference call, offensive interference call on Todd Christensen, moved them out. They ended up taking a field goal. They still want the 7 points. Let's see what they can do to convert it here.
Marcus Allen goes in motion. Incomplete, a flag down again. Dokie Williams, the intended receiver. And Mark Wilson was throwing right on the break. And again, offensive pass interference. Third time in the ballgame that penalty has been called, twice on Todd Christensen.
Amazing, Charlie.
Yes,
I'm flabbergasted. You maybe see a couple of those in a ballgame, but here we've had back-to-back penalties on three plays. I think they're calling a pick perhaps on that play, but Dokie Williams.
Interference, 85 offense, 10-yard penalty.
No, it's on the intended receiver. They're saying he's using his hands or his body to try and get open down in that end zone. And now they have moved out to where it's not going to be a chip shot field goal even now, although you're not going to see them kick, obviously, until it's fourth down.
Second down goal to go. The ball back at the 18-yard line. Wilson, with all the time in the world, goes to Christensen. Todd leads to the 5-yard line. It'll be third down and goal to go. A pickup of 13. They'll stop the clock now with 16 seconds left of the first half.
Todd Christensen, he was wearing the Goats helmet just a few minutes ago for an interference call. There you see him using that shoulder. I think that's what he was called for earlier. But here, he makes the grab and gets down inside that 5 yards.
Offensive pass interference penalty. The officials, I think, are more cognizant, more aware of that particular call in this ballgame. There's a reason, too.
Sometimes they're alerted, perhaps by what happened last week in Denver, perhaps by the Seattle players, but they're sure aware of it today. There's no question.
Overthrown. Dokie Williams, it'll be fourth down and goal to go. And just to come back, there was an illegal pick in the ballgame last weekend that there were some complaints and talks about, and I understand an illegal pick in one of the games played yesterday that was talked about. And so everybody, officials are human. They become aware of that particular thing, and they start to look for it.
Well, you hear a lot of complaints around the league at the way the Raiders, in particular Todd Christensen, is very physical in the way he runs his patterns, and they have really tagged him for it today.
With 10 seconds left in the first half, here's Chris Barr with a 22-yard field goal attempt to break the tie, and there's a flag.
Tripping call on number 81 offense with the 10-yard penalty.
That's Andy Parker, one of the three tight ends, called for tripping. We've had a little bit of everything happen in the first half.
How many times do you see tripping called in a season, Charlie?
Once, and this is it. I was hoping we would get it before the season was over.
This is the one today.
Tripping on number 81 will re-kick with a 10-yard penalty.
Well, if you're on the Raiders sideline, right now you're saying, how can we get all these calls on us? On the other sideline, you're saying, hey, they're catching those guys.
An attempt of 32 yards. And we've got jumping by the Seahawks. Contact. It'll be encroachment. The kick goes through the uprights, but there was an encroachment on the Seattle Seahawks. So now, now it's going to be the Raiders' choice. They've got the 3. We're down to 3 seconds left. The penalty will not give them a first down.
Encroachment by the defense. Contact occurred before the snap.
That was.
Field goal is not counted. 5-yard penalty will re-kick.
That is exactly right. That's a good call. That's an automatic call. They have no choice. Officials do not have a choice. Rule book call across the line of scrimmage. Contact before the snap. Plays dead, regardless of what happens.
You're Tom Flores, you got to be saying, why me? And if it's Chris Barr, you're saying, how many times do I have to kick this sucker?
I'm 2 for 2, and none of them count.
There was the jump by Nash in the middle, and a dead perfect kick. Well, Barr is certainly going to be warm after this third one.
3 seconds back on the clock. Because of the encroachment by the defense, the clock should not have started.
So they moved the clock from 3 seconds back to 6 seconds. And the kick will now be 27 yards. He's hit from 32 and 22. Now he tries right in the middle. And he is 3 for 3. Each one counted 1 point.
Well, if he had missed that, and I were in a striped uniform, I don't think I would have gone very close to that Raider bench.
It has to be relief.
Tremendous relief. Good hold, and look how Mark Wilson has those strings perfectly aligned with the goalpost. Beautifully done. And Chris says, okay, we're going to count this one, guys?
And so the Raiders officially now have broken the tie. 3 seconds left on the clock. It's a 6-3 ball game. 3 seconds left to go in the first half. We've had 4 penalties in the last 7 plays. Like Flag Day.
Now, we have gone through a tremendous amount of the early part of this game very quickly. Few penalties. And, Charlie, one thing interesting to me, not nearly as many emotional eruptions as you would expect between these two teams. Perhaps one reason for that is the absence of Kenny Easley. Easley, of course, one of the most emotional. Well, not a troublemaker.
But he mixes and mingles.
He makes trouble for an offense, and he plays so physically, he does get people riled. But his absence, I think, being felt by the Seahawks defense, although neither offense able to do a great deal so far in this game.
I'm wondering if the time of the year, though, we're coming into the next to the last ball game. You win today, if you're a Raider, you're in the playoffs. If you're a Seahawk, if you win and you win next week, you still got a chance. You don't have time for that. What a squib-type kick taken at the 10-yard line on the return by the Seahawks. And this is Paul Scansey as he returns it near the 45-yard line. And with that play, time runs out in the first half. Very close first half and an interesting first half. Seattle with a 37-yard field goal by Norm Johnson. For the Raiders, Chris Barr from 22 and 27 yards. Back at these messages from your local station. Thank you, Bob and Ahmad. Here at the Coliseum, it's Seattle 3 and the Los Angeles Raiders 6. We've had 3 field goals in the first half, and we'll be back right after these messages from your local station. I'd say the first half was Raider football.
It was, Charlie, because the Raiders' philosophy of football is to try and wear you down physically in the first half of a game. And traditionally, they'll stay close in the first half, and they'll try and come on and dominate in the second half. It's not good news for either team in the sense that neither offense has really been able to do a great deal, but that's not surprising in the sense that the strongest side of both of these teams is the defensive side. Let's look at what those quarterbacks did in the first half of this ball game. Wilson on the left, Craig on the right, and you look at their numbers for the day, I think the most important stat for either of those quarterbacks is 0 interceptions. But you see the bulge for Wilson. He's been able to get the ball deep a couple of times. Craig has thrown actively in the short zones, but not too well deep.
Now, another thing you have to take in consideration is the offense is, in reality, the quarterback's not that strong. The offense is built around one man.
One man, and let's look now at what the two running backs have done. Marcus Allen and Warner have both run fairly effectively early in the game, but Warner kind of disappeared. And Marcus just got stronger and stronger into that second quarter, and of course ends up with much better numbers. And if he follows his usual pattern, he'll be even tougher in the second half.
That's right, because the more that he carries the ball, then the stronger that he becomes, and the yards start to add up in the second half.
Well, it's something we could look for anyway.
And total yardage first quarter and second quarter. Look what the Raider defense has done to that Seahawk offense. 34 yards in the first quarter, only 18 yards in the second quarter, while the Raiders picked up 138 yards in the second quarter. But through the last 6 periods of play between these two teams, the Raiders have not been able to score a touchdown. 33-3 in the Kingdome. And here, 6-3 Raiders. The Raiders taking the kickoff to open the second half. Here's Fulton Walker on the return, and he's across the 25 to the 29-yard line. 23 yards on the return, and let's look at the statistics in the first half.
Stats, as you see, time of possession in favor of the Seahawks, and of course much of that an early first drive that was well over 5 minutes. Yardage favoring very strongly the Raiders side of the ledger, and the turnovers, all fumbles, you might remember.
Yes.
1 by Seattle and 2 by the Raiders.
First downs today, the Seahawks averaging 1.6 on 9 plays. And here's Marcus Allen. And he'll open up with 3 yards in the second half from the 28 to the 31-yard line. Second and 7 as Fred Young makes the tackle.
You saw that big bulge in first down yardage, and those first downs so important, Charlie, because if you can pick up in excess of 4 yards in that first down, you have all the options then for your offense.
And the Rams running away from the Cardinals at halftime. The Rams lead it 36-7. And here the score, the Raiders 6 and the Seahawks 3. As we open the second half, and Mark Wilson is back to throw. Incomplete. It looked as if he wanted to go either to Allen or to Todd Christensen, and in reality they were covered. He may have just been dumping it away in an open zone.
Looking from the end zone, you'll see Wilson go back. He's getting good time. Mosbar doing a good job on Nash on the center, but Nash got up and got his hands in the air. I think forced that ball to be thrown a little high. There's someone you might recognize from profile, Jim Plunkett. Why isn't he in uniform? Well, he wonders too. He says he's ready to play, Charlie.
I said, you put on a little weight, and he said, no, it's my winter coat.
He will be activated soon. You can believe that.
Third down and 7, far side, incomplete. Going over the wrong shoulder of Jesse Hester, so that'll bring up 4th down and 7, and that means that Ray Guy will come in to catch.
Wilson, had he had just a few seconds longer, might have been able to complete that pass. Getting pressure from Joe Nash, had to get rid of the ball, and hoped that Hester would be able to react to it.
Ray Guy's first punt, 56 yards. And he'll be kicking to Paul Scansey. Not that good a kick. Scansey will play it on the bounce. No, he's going to stay away from it. It'll work out all right for the Raiders. It'll be marked dead at the 18-yard line. 51 yards on the kick and the roll, and we'll be back. Seahawks Chick Harris will signal the plays in from the sideline.
Getting a little help there from Chuck Knox. And there's the defensive signal caller. They don't call him coordinator for the Raiders. Bob Seaman.
Kurt Warner just leads from the 18. We'll give him 3 to the 21, 2nd down and 7. Bill Piquel makes the tackle. Now, we talked about the similarities in the two teams. The defenses are both strengths. The quarterback's not that big an influence. One running back. They go with the specialty teams. who want to kind of beat you down and do it with turnovers. But what are the differences between these two teams?
One of the differences you'll see in the offensive lines, the Seattle offensive line is a grab and turn line. The Raiders offensive line, a powering line.
Craig to throw. It was there to Largent on the far side. 14 yards on the play. Lester Hayes had the coverage. And Largent now receptions in 122 ball games, chasing the record of Harold Carmichael.
Gilbert there shielding Chick Harris as he makes his calls. You see him signaling out. Oh, he's changed the play. Look at that. He's going to go back and do it again.
I always wondered what would happen, though, if 4 of the defenders came over and formed a wall between them.
So that you couldn't see him. I know. That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
35-yard line first down. Seahawks in their own territory, trailing by 3. Timing pattern down the sideline. Leaping there. And it is Steve Largent once again. 20 yards on the play.
Largent just caught a pass on Lester Hayes with his magic feet, and here it's just absolute artistry. Look at him go up and take it right out of the hands, waiting until the last possible second so he wouldn't turn Mike Haynes around too early.
And Largent, of course, tied with Lance Allworth with the most 1,000 yards receiving. And next year he'll be going for number 8. Largent 3 receptions, 46 yards. The ball at the Raider 45-yard line. First down, Seahawks. They started this drive at their 18, and Largent is in motion. And Craig to throw. Swinging out of the backfield is David Hughes, and Hughes goes out of bounds at about the 40-yard line. We'll give him 5. It'll be second down and 5, and Mike Haynes was there for the defense.
Lester Hayes likes to get up right on the nose of those receivers and hassle with them. But a lot of times he'll come up and line up tight on the receiver and then just at the last minute drop out of there into zone coverage or sometimes come back to a man-to-man. Here it is. There is Lester. Now Lester has come up to get right on top of him. He'll back out of there. Well, we'll go in and look at him, see what he does on this play. Look how close he is on Darryl Turner.
In fact, he'll play him so close that sometimes he gets caught for lining up offside. Not for jumping, but for lining up. Here's Kurt Warner. Little shoulder move inside, cuts back against the grain, and he'll pick up the first down as he's pulled down at the 33-yard line. He's got 7, and Van McElroy makes the stop.
That's the kind of running that Kurt Warner did so much of in his rookie season when he was the AFC's Rookie of the Year, and in many people's books, the most valuable running back in all of the AFC. And Warner has not had that kind of an average. What is he, 3.4 for the year, Charlie, this year? And
look what it is now. And in the first half, he had only 23 yards rushing in the first half.
Well, interesting. It's good that we play 2 halves of football.
Yes. Pressure flag is down, and he throws it away, and then we'll check out the marker.
Second time today that Howie Long has given Blair Bush more than he can handle, and Bush just trying to hang on, trying to keep his quarterback from being sacked. Well, that's a tough assignment.
Holding, 59 offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Here's the battle we're talking about, right inside. And Howie's just going to drive him. Watch, he'll just slap Blair Bush up at the side. It's a rip-and-go move. Look at that slap, and then drives underneath and goes right over the top of him. Blair just trying to do everything he can, gets the arm over the top, and gets a wrestling hold on him.
They're the leading sackers for the Raiders. Bill Pickel with 10.5, and he's a nose tackle. And Joe Nash for the Seahawks, their nose tackle has 9 sacks. Nose tackles normally don't get that many, and here's another one, and it's Pickel who gets it. That is his second of the ball game. A loss of 8.
Well, we'll add one more to Pickel's. Bill Pickel's wife on the sideline. She's the one with the dark hair, obviously very happy. He has come along so quickly as a defensive lineman and nose tackle. He'll come from the left side of your screen. I think it's lucky that Craig sees him here at the last minute. Otherwise, he might have been able to strip that ball loose and knock the fumble away.
It'll be second down and 28. The ball back at the Seattle 49-yard line. pass is complete at the 40-yard line. Dan Ross, the tight end, pulls it down, and Jeff Barnes pulls him down. They'll mark at the 41-yard line.
Trying to be patient. They didn't try and get it all in one play. They'll still have long yardage, but at least they've cut that down. Ross getting some playing time, started today. He's an interesting story.
He has to be very tired, though.
Oh, he's played 4 seasons with 1 off season in between. He's lost about 15 pounds. He said his body starts to twitch on him occasionally when he's sitting down. I don't blame his body.
He went from the NFL to the USFL, then an off season, then the USFL back to the NFL. That's the reason for that 1 off season. 4 football seasons.
Oh, yeah.
Greg far side on a comeback timing pattern to Largent. They're going to say no, he was out of bounds. Even out of bounds. It's a beauty to watch. Largent at work.
I'll tell you, he and Lester Hayes have some great battles. Great respect between these two men. The one thing that is so tough in the way Largent runs his patterns is that he knows how those defensive backs work. And Hayes knew that Largent had 1 foot out of bounds, too. But those are good battles between those two players.
4th down and 18. Dave Fetzer kicking to Fulton Walker. He has pressure, but he gets it off. Goes for the corner. Doesn't get anywhere near it, but it's rolling dead. Kick back to the field. It'll be down at the 1-yard line.
Sam Merriman, number 51, and these Seattle Seahawks special teams are coming through here in the 3rd quarter with a couple of fine plays. Watch Merriman at the last second just tip that ball and knock it back before it goes into the end zone.
Robinson recovers. We've got a timeout. In 9 seconds, that is the time remaining in the 3rd quarter, and the play by Sam Merriman could be the kind of play that turns the game around.
Well, it certainly puts the Raiders back in their own end zone, and they're looking right now to get a little bit of room to operate.
Hawkins, the ball carrier, and he'll get a yard. That's about it as they wrap him up at that point. Maybe 2. Let's mark it out to the 3-yard line, and it is 2nd down and 8.
Good flow on the inside by those defenders. You get a chance to feel what is happening in there as these defenders are just trying very hard. Well, you'll get a chance to look at it perhaps on the next play, but on that last play, there were 4 Seattle Seahawks all stacked up on top of that ball player within seconds after he made his move. That's the kind of quickness and the kind of alertness that they've demonstrated all year long.
Wilson, play action. All the time in the world, drops it off to Todd Christensen, and he is stopped at the 11, just outside of the 11. Could have the 1st down.
Looking from behind now, you'll see Mark Wilson. You'll see Mark Wilson just drop back, fake it up the middle to Hawkins. Gives him a little time to throw the football. Looks left to keep those linebackers off to the side. And now watch him. He'll come right back to Todd Christensen right there, knowing that he's allowed a little bit of room on the inside for Todd to pull in and make that reception.
And it is a 1st down by the nose of the ball.
And it's interesting to me, Charlie, in so many critical situations, we talked about it early, that the confidence level between Wilson and Christensen extremely high. You get him that football in his hands, he's probably going to catch it, although he did drop a couple of critical passes in that Denver ball game. I'm sure happy that he didn't end up being the GOAT of that ball game.
Today, 3 receptions for 26 yards, and here's Marcus Allen. Cut down, 9-yard line. A loss of 2 as Fred Young was there. 2nd down and 12.
Freddie Young, so very, very quick. We'll get a chance to watch him right here in the middle of your screen. Watch the quick acceleration. He's just going to shoot in there, knife through very, very quickly, right in behind, and that's pure speed and nose for the football. You can't teach that kind of thing.
And Fred Young, the leading tackler for the Seahawks. It's 2nd down and 12, the ball at the 9-yard line. Marcus Allen, 16 carries, 42 yards. Wilson to throw. Christensen, double coverage right between the defenders. 20-yard line gain of 11. It'll be 3rd down and 1. John Harris and Keith Simpson were there for the defense, and Wilson just fired it.
I asked Mark Wilson about this defense, and I said, what is tough about this Seattle defense? He said, one of the things they do differently, he said they'll employ 6 defensive backs, occasionally 70 defensive backs on second down. And he said their nickel packages or extra defensive back packages are among the most complicated and most difficult to work in all of football.
6 minutes and 40 seconds time remaining. We're in the third quarter. The Raiders have the ball and the lead, 6-3. Short yardage, third down and 1. Hawkins, the remaining back. Play action, they want to go deep. The arm is hit, it is incomplete. So it will be 4th down and 1. So the Raiders gamble on 3rd and 1 with the play action, looking for Todd Christensen deep over the middle.
The blitz is on. You'll see the pressure coming from the right-hand side. 58, Bruce Schultz. 55, Jackson coming from the other side. It's Schultz right there, reaching out with that right hand. That's twice today we've seen linebackers or defensive linemen driven past the quarterback, reach in and grab that arm.
And that means that Ray Guy, both of his previous kicks over 50 yards, 56 and 51, he'll be kicking to Paul Scansey. As some pressure gets it on. And goes bounding out of bounds at the 45-yard line. There was pressure on Guy. This punt good for only 35 yards, but a flag did not come down.
Give you a chance to see it, and I'm sure that Al Davis, high up here in his box, beginning to say, what do I have to do? What do we have to do to get a call?
Let's see him. You played here for 15 years. This was the home field. We've got a live action right now. They're ready to go. Here come the Seahawks. And the pass is complete near the first down marker. And this is Dan Ross. What is different about the Coliseum? I mean, what made this
history of this place? Of course, built for the Olympics, going way back. But also, Charlie, it's kind of unique in a sense that there's a long tunnel that goes up to the dressing rooms. And when you walk down through that tunnel just prior to the game, there's the tunnel right there. And it's maybe 100 yards, a little over, back to those dressing rooms. The sound of cleats coming down that tunnel is something I'll never forget.
And it echoes, right?
Oh, yeah, just a bang, bang, bang.
First down for the Seahawks at the Raiders 45. Kurt Warner, the ball carrier. He'll pick up a couple to the 43. It'll be second down and 8. Is that sound coming down before the ball game? Does that really get you pumped up? And then it's kind of dark back there, too. Then you come out like the gladiators of old into the sunshine.
Some of that same kind of feeling, absolutely. Right now, with good field position, these Seahawks hoping that they can get some points on the board.
San Diego coming from behind now, leading Philadelphia 10-7 in the third. Kurt Warner, 12 carries, 34 yards. And it's second down and 8. Again, the Raiders lead at 6-3. The pass is low but caught.
Gotta touch him.
Oh, and the ball is kicked loose and then recovered by Jeff Barnes.
A mistake, and then a great play by the defense of the Los Angeles Raiders. I think the defensive back on top of the first play did not believe that was a catch, but it was. But look at Stacy Turan now go in underneath and punch that football loose. And then Jeff Barnes, number 56, right on top of it to put his hands on it. Now watch him as he makes this catch. McKenzie, I think, going back to his college training, thinks he's down, didn't tag him. He's got to tag him. Harris went on down the field, ended up fumbling the football with a little help from Turan.
And Jeff Barnes recovered it. The Raiders have a first down at their 13. And Marcus Allen picks up 3 to the 16 at second and 7 as Fred Young makes the tackle. So the turnovers now, and we said at the top of the game that it would be big. They're a big factor. And they're even 2 each side, and all 4 have been fumbles. There's not been an interception.
Well, I think that speaks well for these quarterbacks because, as you and I know, they've had a lot of. Well, there's a little cheerleading from Jim Garner on the sideline.
Second and 7. Marcus Allen leaning to the 23. It'll be close to the first down. He needed 7, and I think that he may have gotten it. 18 carries and 51 yards rushing now.
Watch number 79, Jacob Green. Henry Lawrence working on him. They're giving him a little pass set to get him upfield. And then right at the end of the play, again, you see the Seahawks stripping at that football, grabbing at that football, trying to force that fumble. I'll tell you, between Green and Henry Lawrence, number 70, that is always a war. Those two play each other tough.
Third down and about 4 inches to go for the first down. And I'm not sure, thinking about the shot of Jim Garner, he may have been quiet.
He was trying to tell the crowd to be quiet.
But they had a wave going just a moment ago.
He said, not now, please. Wait until the Seahawks are trying to call their signals.
Yes, he has a new hat, his Indiana Jones hat. Third down and inches. Quarterback sneak. First down. Frank Hawkins, the number 2 rusher for the Raiders at 215 yards coming into the ballgame. Like you say, you can get lost if you're in the backfield with Marcus Allen.
Well, Marcus Allen steps out of there to the outside. They've got to respect him. They start to make adjustments, and suddenly they hit them right up the middle with Hawkins. And Charlie, I mentioned the style of the Seattle offensive line, grab and turn. Let's talk about this Raider offensive line. They're a bull line. They like to come right at you, knock you off the ball.
Raiders from their own 28-yard line, first down. 3 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Los Angeles leads by a score of 6-3. The pass is too tall. As we pause briefly for station identification, this is the NBC television network.
You're watching WXFL Channel 8, Tampa, St. Petersburg.
This is Charlie Jones and Merlin Olsen back at the Coliseum. Merlin?
Quickly, let's look at Mark Wilson here as he drops back on a planned roll. Just steps out here, and then he'll drive to the outside. And look how that offensive line seals things off inside to give him time on this play. Just steps out. That's Marcus going straight up the field. Look at all the time he has. Not able to get that pass in, but that's the kind of thing that scares you if you're a defensive coordinator.
Mark Wilson has completed 9 of 17 for 141 yards, and he's had all the time in the world today. Inside handoff to Marcus Allen. Allen jumps to the outside, 40-yard line, gain of 12, and the first down. Dave Brown with the tackle at the 40.
Marcus Allen running with control. Look at the way he controls his body movement. Not at full speed. I think he's concentrating this year on being able to take advantage of what he can see in front of him. Said he was pressing last year. 63 yards on the day.
Notice the eyes of Marcus Allen. He has tremendous vision. Going for his 8th straight. The record is 9, held by Gerald Ray.
Walter Payton.
By Walter Payton. I'm sorry, you're right. Of course. Incomplete at the 45-yard line. Dokie Williams, the intended receiver. Dave Brown just timed the collision.
Beautiful timing. You described it perfectly, Charlie. Got there right at the last possible second. The collision is what knocks the football away. Mark looking to his right to look the defenders off. Watch it right here at the end of that play. Just as Dokie is pulling that ball in, Dave Brown is stripping his arms apart, ripping those arms apart so that he can't control that football.
And let's go back and let's just not, I'm sorry that I miscalled, but it is Walter Payton. He had 9 straight 100-yard games. Stopped yesterday when he was held to 53 yards in that game in the red against the Jets. And here's Marcus running free and out of bounds in Seahawk territory, first down.
That should put him over the 100-yard mark for today. No, not quite. Well, we'll keep an eye on it for you.
77 yards, 20 carries, right. 77.
Well, there's some time left in this ball game, and I think we're going to see some more of Marcus Allen.
And he picks up 14 here. And he does. He gets, you alluded to this earlier. As the day goes on and the more carries that he has, he gets stronger.
Well, he wants to carry the football. He wants to be in the ball game. I guess every great back wants to have that football, wants to make things happen.
First down at the Seahawk 46-yard line. Play action fake.
Dokie!
Pass is complete at the 33-yard line to Dokie Williams. And Terry Taylor had the coverage. And right now the Raiders leading by 3, but completely in control of the game.
Playing their kind of game here at this moment. And Dokie Williams has such fine speed, sprinter speed. You saw it just a minute ago challenging the corner on the left side. Dave Brown comes right back at Terry Taylor, and a cornerback has to respect that speed. And when you can drive them off with your speed and then come back to the ball, awfully tough.
At the 32-yard line, first down. The eye of Marcus Allen. And the arms of the Seahawk defense.
Jacob Green, one of the first, along with Fred Young. And Charlie, Fred Young is a very good story for the Seahawks. Pressed into action when Sheldon Robinson was hurt earlier, made his reputation in the league as a special teams player, selected as the best special teamer in the AFC last year, is learning in this defense. But, you know, he had problems early in the year. He'd get out of the defense and make a mistake and then make a big play. And Tom Catlin would say, "You made a mistake. We can't have you do that." He said, "Yeah, but I got the tackle, coach. I got the tackle."
That's a great story, and so true. Going deep, incomplete. Dokie Williams, the intended receiver, he was cut off deep by Terry Taylor, so it'll be 3rd down and 10, back at the 32-yard line. And it was hard, going back to Fred Young, it was hard for him to realize that when you make the tackle, even though you'd blown the assignment, that it wasn't a good play.
It was not a good play. Not because he made the tackle. I mean, making the tackle was good. If you make a mistake, you better make the tackle. But making the mistake meant that if you did it again, perhaps the offense would be able to take advantage of that and score a touchdown. This Seattle defense, extremely disciplined under Tom Catlin. They have every man with a special responsibility, and they play team defense.
3rd down and 10. Extra men in the secondary for the Seahawks, and here's Wilson to throw. Steps away from the pressure and runs into Moore, and he is dropped at the 34-yard line. He'll lose 2. It'll be 4th down and 12. And that is the 2nd sack for the Seahawks.
No one open downfield. Mark Wilson simply had to pull that football down and eat it. And he is doing a better job of being aware in that pocket. I'll tell you one thing you can't fault this man for. He's had his ups and downs. He's had a lot of problems during this season. But he is tough. He's a gamer. He's come back from injuries, and he's not afraid to put his nose in there.
Ray Guy will go for the corner. Now, usually in this situation, he's been going for the right corner, which is a really tough kick because you can slice the ball off of the side of your foot. The gun sounds before the kick. That is the end of the 3rd. The kick to come. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. Of the Los Angeles Raiders Hall of Famers, Jim Otto and George Blanda with Al Davis, general managing partner in the middle.
Boy, I'd like to go out and grab a couple of those guys like that in their prime and bring them back. Great memories from both of them.
Guy goes for the left-hand corner, and he's got it. 2-yard line. The odds are better going that way because the foot comes across the body. 32 yards. Don't worry about the distance. It's at the 2-yard line.
Ray Guy kicking so smart. I'll tell you, a punter can make such a big contribution to your defense. He puts that long grain between an offense and your goal line.
All right, Ray. Waiting for his reaction. Now remember, same situation, just a yard inside. The Raiders were at their own 1 trying to come out. They were successful. Now let's see what the Seahawks can do from their own 2-yard line. And Rick Peros is the ball carrier. And he carries across the 5 to the 6-yard line. Let's look at the statistics. 2 3/4.
Not a great deal there to get excited about if you're a Seahawk fan. The Raiders more yardage by far, but not a lot of points to show for it. We get word from the sideline that Sean Jones is banged up a bit. Greg Townsend, number 93, goes onto the field.
2nd down and 6. And here's Kurt Warner. James Davis leading the charge. Stacy Turan is there.
Good receivers don't just catch the football. Much larger in here. He looks like he's coming in a pattern. And watch what he does here, coming in to trap, to block on Stacy Turan. Well, that's called your mousetrap. Just gave him a little push. Didn't quite get him out of the play. Large enough. At one time, they used to put him in as the wing on short yardage plays. Tom Flores said not only that, but he blocked.
Third down and 3 from the shotgun, and Eric Lane is in. Little looping pass is complete. And it's the man, Steve Largent. And McElroy, who's playing with a muscle pull, makes the stop, but he goes for a gain of 15.
We talked about the war between these two. Lester wants to keep Largent on the line of scrimmage. He's warming up those hands, long arms, jams him right there. Largent not afraid to roll out of there and simply breaks away and gets the toss over the head. Picks up a nice gain and the first down.
24-yard line, first down. Fake to Kurt Warner. Kind of a sidearm to Peros, and he drops it. It'll be second down and 10. 24-yard. I may have fired that one a little too fast or a little too quick at close range. And here are the streaks, Marlon.
Well, that's an amazing streak that Largent has. Of course, Gerald Carmichael now not active in the game, and Largent hoping to keep that streak alive.
And when Carmichael set the record, I was at the game. They gave him a trophy that had to be 40 feet tall. I'm not exaggerating.
I remember
they
that.
took it apart in pieces.
I wonder where he stores that trophy.
No. It'll make a great Christmas tree is what it would make. Second down and 10. Craig has completed 11 of 17 for 133 yards.
Listen to that crowd. They want to get into it here.
There's pressure, he rolls, he throws. The pass is complete, but it'll end up short yardage. Going to Dan Ross, the tight end. And Stacy Turan is there.
Ross is hurt. Stacy Turan, a very physical tackle, drove Ross to the ground. Charlie Young, who's been starting at tight end for these Seahawks for a long while, already has a knee injury. They do have a backup in Mike Tice, who came off the IR list with a broken ankle earlier. But let's watch the play. Craig under pressure rolls out, throws that ball high. Turan picks him up from the knees. He goes right down on that right shoulder and right arm.
We've got a timeout. We'll be back. Third down and 5. Pressure. Craig pulled down.
This is Howie Long, and Howie, as you might remember, made that big sack that helped to force the fumble on Elway that turned that game around, gave them that big win in Denver. Sean Jones leaves the ball game, goes in for x-rays. Howie moves to his position and already has come up with a big play. Watch him driving inside of Millard, over the top of Blair Bush, jerked the jersey down, and they sacked him to the ground with the help of Piquel.
And Dave Fincher is kicking. It's fourth down and 19.
Line drive, Charlie.
Bolton Walker gives ground at the 34-yard line, back to the 40, looks for a block, to the 50, and is bumped out of bounds at the 50-yard line by Keith Butler. 50 yards of the punt, a 16-yard return. We'll be back. And Ross, who came down and hit the turf, he said he's okay, and we'll be back in the ball game.
Which ball game? I don't know. It'd be hard to remember which team after so many football seasons.
Marcus Allen from the 50-yard line, and he'll have 4 yards to the 46-yard line.
On the Raiders sideline, Tom Flores standing next to Larry Keenan, who will signal in the plays. Quarterback coach, there you see him making his signal. Now, he is signaling out to Mark Wilson and actually signaling a number, which corresponds to a wristband worn by Mark Wilson. On the other side, the Seahawks signal a play. They just signal out the number. There's the wristband.
Second and 6, and here's Marcus again. First down. 34-yard line.
You might be tempted to say, let's just do that one again. It worked very well. Marcus continues to add up the yardage, and as he did last week against the Broncos, is playing much stronger here in the second half.
Now, when I see a wristband, I always think of Tom Matty, and you played in that ball game when he first wore the wristband. Is that right?
Charlie, you always remind me of that.
Yes.
Right here in the Coliseum, Matty's famous wristband, and as we watch Marcus Allen in a replay of that play, he came in here to replace 2 injured quarterbacks, call the plays off the wristband, and beat him on this field.
Marcus to the 30-yard line, gain of 4, second down and 6. Michael Jackson with the tackle.
Charlie, even though we haven't seen the emotional explosions in this game, the physical nature of this game is taking its toll. Jeff Bryant, that's Tom Catlin, who signals in the defenses, calls the signals. He's the defensive coordinator. Jeff Bryant just out of the game. There you see it going in. He'll call alignment, coverage, and he'll call also any blitzes or stunts he wants from the sideline.
Second down and 6 at the Seattle 30-yard line. Raiders down in front 6-3. There's not been a touchdown. Frank Hawkins gets the call. 4 yards to the 26. It'll be third down and a couple. Joe Nash with the tackle. And they're within field goal range. And I mention this because it's third down and 2.
Nash, of course, in the Pro Bowl last year as a nose tackle, has had a good season, and is sacking the quarterback well. Had a period in the middle of the year when he was having trouble getting off the blocks, and they backed him off the ball a little bit. Today, he's working against Don Mospar, a very fine center, and the Raiders feel that Mospar has solved their problems in the middle of that line.
9.5 minutes to go in the game, and Mark Wilson does not like what he sees. He's got a timeout. The Raiders have the lead, and we'll be back in a moment. Downtown Los Angeles, there are 4 seasons in Southern California: early summer, summer, late summer, and next summer. Temperature in the 70s at kickoff, and Frank Hawkins gets the call. It was third down and 2, and does not look as if he picked it up. Randy Edwards was there to greet him for the Seahawks, so it'll be fourth down, and still 2 to go. And night is descending here at the Coliseum.
Chris Barr onto the field to try a field goal here. This is going to be out. Go ahead, Charlie.
Holder, Mark Wilson. Fake? Possibility?
Always a possibility with the quarterback holding, but Chris Barr, watching him in practice, this is comfortably in his range. He wants to kick longer field goals, as a matter of fact. I don't think it's a fake there.
43 yards. No good. He misses to the right from 43 yards away. So the Seahawks take over at the line of scrimmage, still trailing 6-3.
Plenty of distance on that ball. Wilson gets a good hold for him. I think he thought he had it in there, but it drifted out to the right-hand side.
We'll be back. Sideline of the Los Angeles Raiders. Seahawks have the ball. Taking over is Chris Barr, missed from 43 yards out. Missing to the right side. Seattle's ball first down. Their own 26-yard line. They trail by 3, 6-3. There's been no scoring in the second half. Craig with pressure fires. It is incomplete. He was throwing behind his tight end, Dan Ross, but he had to get rid of the ball.
Good pressure from the inside. They're just burrowing in. Howie Long is working on the nose again, right over the center. He's driving Blair Bush back, but watch David Hughes just come in there and bury his shoulder in Howie's stomach to keep him off. Unfortunately, there was no one open, and Craig knew he didn't have much time left.
Because Greg Townsend was coming in from the outside, and it's second down and 10. Are we looking for the one big play? Will we see that? Incomplete at the 31-yard line. Ross, the tight end, the intended receiver, and Stacy Turan was the man taking away. Double coverage on the wide receivers. Had to come back over the middle.
Double coverage, also a line stunt inside. Watch Piquel try and stunt inside to make room for Howie Long coming around the backside. Turn the play loose. You'll see Craig, who's conscious of the pressure, still has time to throw that football, but Stacy Turan had such great position on Dan Ross that Ross couldn't get back outside to catch that ball.
The Seahawks third down and 10 now with 4 wide receivers. Scansey and Walker check in to join Largent and Turner. needs a little time. The pass is incomplete, going to Byron Walker.
James Davis, number 45, in solo coverage. Well, that's a little scary when you can put that much speed on the field in the presence of 4 wide receivers. Watch Craig here. He'll show you a little of his scrambling ability. Gets away right there from Townsend, 93, outside on Mitch Willis. And that play awfully close to being successful. Byron Walker diving, but missing the catch.
Dave Benser kicking to Fulton Walker. Can Walker break the big play? There's pressure. He gets it off.
Walker can make the big one. We all remember the one he made in the Super Bowl, but this is not going to be the one.
He has 11 yards on the return. There's a flag down. Greg Gaines was there for the Seattle Seahawks. A 33-yard kick with a 10-yard return. There's a marker on the field.
Fulton Walker, by the way, working on the...
Number 57 was ineligible, and he was downfield illegally on the kick. Penalty refused.
Refusing the penalty, Sheldon Robinson apparently down too quickly.
The Raiders have the ball, and we'll be back in a moment. 39 yards to break Greg Pruitt's NFL return record.
And that is such an exciting number because he's only played in 9 games on the season. Came 4 games into the season, missed 1 game because of injuries, and has had a great impact on the special teams here. Both these teams, outstanding special teams, Charlie, and they've shown us some great plays today.
And Sean Jones is an elbow problem. He will not be back in the ball game. Fulton Walker needed 81 yards in returns coming into the game to break the record. The record is 666 yards.
Held by Greg Pruitt, set while he was a Raider.
Wilson pump fake, wants to go deep. Incomplete. Dokie Williams, the intended receiver. John Harris and Terry Taylor at the coverage. It'll be 2nd and 10.
That'll stretch the defense. Even when you miss a pass like that, you force the defense to think about it. One of the differences between these teams, and it's a good thing to talk about, this Seattle defense tries to make you play a long field in a sense that they lay back, they stay back, and they play especially deep on the Raiders. They try and keep everything in front of them, trying to make the Raiders force the play, trying to make them make the mistakes.
8 minutes and 5 seconds to go. The Raiders lead it 6-3. And here's Mike. He can start and stop and reverse. There's a flag down. Pick up 4 yards and make it as exciting as you'd want to see on any highlight film.
Well, that is not exciting.
No.
A holding call on the running play. And, of course, that will march 10 yards off against the offensive team.
Holding 79 offense, 10-yard penalty.
Bruce Davis.
Play the 2nd down.
He was saying, I can't believe I did that. Marcus Allen has made some of his biggest plays on the year, including a big 61-yard touchdown just a couple of weeks ago here, cutting back against the grain, going to his right, and then being stopped and coming back. You always have to worry about containment when he's on the field.
Marcus, 97 yards rushing. 24 carries. He'll only pick up a yard here.
Didn't fool anyone on that play. Tremendous pursuit inside out by that Seahawk defense. We mentioned that Jeff Bryant had some physical problems earlier. Yeah, we're getting close, as they might say.
You can't get much closer.
Randy Edwards in at that right end position of Jeff Bryant.
1 more yard would make it 8 in a row, and 1 behind Walter Payton. But you look for the pass here. 3rd down and 18.
Great catch!
Unbelievable!
And a tremendous throw by Mark Wilson.
48 yards. And you almost want to applaud the defense also on the play.
He hangs that football so high, and Terry Taylor just misjudged that football. But the thing that's amazing about the catch, as you watch Mark Wilson throw that rainbow, is that when it comes through the hands of a defensive back, it is so hard to keep your concentration. Dokie Williams, that catch over the top, over his head. I don't think there's a tougher catch to make in football.
The big play that we've been looking for, the big play of the ball game offensively.
They've got to convert, though. They got to get the points. They've been here before and haven't.
First down, goal to go. Is it there? Yes. Marcus Allen, touchdown.
On two other occasions, the Raider offense had been in that same area of the field, looking for the touchdown. Marcus picked a good time to leap over the top of that and go past O.J. Simpson and Earl Campbell with his 8th consecutive 100-yard game.
Chris Barr with the extra point. And it's the Los Angeles Raiders 13, the Seattle Seahawks 3.
Little billiard shot there. Let's go back to that big play by Marcus Allen. Good vision. You talked about the eyes earlier, Charlie. He makes you miss, and then he knows where that goal line is.
And for Marcus Allen, his 14th touchdown of the year.
Over there by Bruce Davis and Charlie Hanna. We've seen some good runs on that left side of the line. John Mospar inside, Marvin and Lawrence on the other side. Raider offensive line. We talked about them using their strength, beating you down, and they have a physical advantage on this Seahawk defense in size and strength.
Marcus Allen capping the drive, but don't forget the catch of Dokie Williams that set it up. 13-3. Seahawks are down by 10 points with 6:09 left to go. First touchdown of the ball game. Scansey and Morris are deep. And Scansey from the 5-yard line. Whoa. And he returns to the 24. There's a fumble. The Seahawks say they have it.
Ball bounced out as Scansey hit the ground. Boy, he came down on a stack. Sheldon Robinson, number 57, or excuse me, Jerry Robinson, number 57. We have a Sheldon Robinson, 57 on the other side. He's the man that took the legs out right at the last second. He was a starting linebacker and all-pro with the Philadelphia Eagles. He came in here. They've expected him to get into that lineup. He's playing well enough that eventually he may unseat Reggie McKenzie and get in there.
First down for the Hawks at their own 24-yard line. Trailing by 10. Going deep. Oh, complete. Darrell Turner, the intended receiver, and Mike Haynes was there for the defense, right on the fingertips.
A great pass by Craig. We've seen two beautiful long passes. The difference here is that at the last second, you'll see Mike Haynes reach in and grab the arm. You see him grab that arm and jerk that arm down, leaving Turner. I think if Turner had kept that ball in his hands, he would have been able to control it. But Haynes just reached in and stripped the hand out. No way to hang on to the football.
Turner does not have a reception, but he is celebrating his 24th birthday. 2nd and 10. Jump. The question is, was he pulled off?
Howie called one time earlier in the game, just a little eager. Wants a piece of the quarterback.
75 defense, made contact before the snap. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
He's got a lot of things going through his head. He has to play so many positions, and he's thinking about assignments. What do I do now when I'm on the nose? What do I do when I'm on the right tackle? What do I do when I'm outside? It's a heavy load for a defensive player to have to think about that many things at one time. Largent, incomplete. Les
Lester Hayes is complaining that Largent pushed off of him. Largent coming back across. I think the ball got there too quick. I don't think Largent was ready to pick it up.
I think Lester's saying to the official, hey, you called it 3 times on us. Call one on Largent. He wants a call for a bump. Let's see if Largent, you bet he did.
Yes, he did.
Used his shoulder. Now that's exactly the kind of thing that was done earlier by the Raiders, and they got ticketed for it. Lester sometimes is his own enemy in that situation because he's a little bit verbal, and he'll tend to over-exaggerate that. I think that would have been a legitimate offensive interference call.
5:48 left to go in the game. 3rd down and 5. Pass is complete. First down, Seattle, as Eric Lane goes to the 41-yard line. A gain of 12, but more important for the Seahawks, a first down as they trail by 10. 13-3, Rod Martin makes the tackle. 5.5 minutes to go and counting. And again, the significance of this ball game. The Raiders out in front. If they win the West. If they win next week against the Rams, they have home field advantage all the way through. If Seattle comes from behind, then they've got to beat Denver next week and hope that the Rams can beat the Raiders.
It is a now or never kind of time for these Seahawks, and they are playing with desperation. Craig, on that last play, a sidearm pass. Now, you watch him. When he gets in trouble, he'll drop that arm down. Oh, Rams powering St. Louis.
That last pass is down off. First down. Raider 47-yard line.
Oh, what a great catch.
41. Ross again. Gain of 6, 2nd down and 4. Stacy Turan with the tackle. They're doubling the outside men. You've got to cover the tight end over the middle.
You've got to go inside. When you have a fine tight end like that that knows how to get himself open, it's the same thing the Raiders do to Todd Christensen. When you've got speed to the outside, when you've got receivers that the defense has to respect, they've got to give you some room to operate inside. Then you've got to throw to those tight ends.
The speed on the right side. Largent and Turner. 2nd down and 4. Largent goes in motion. Turner working against Lester Hayes. Largent has his man beat. The pass is underthrown. They'll say no, that Hayes did not have the interception in the field of play, and Mike Hayes is going to argue.
Great play by Mike Hayes.
And there's a fight at the 50-yard line. Fight at the 50-yard line where a flag went down and pushing and shoving, and it's broken loose. Howie long in a wrestling match.
There goes another flag. It's not one fight. I think it's about 3 going on, Charlie. Another one.
They're going to run out of flags.
Well, the concern here is not letting this game get out of hand.
And if Jeff Barnes may have been ejected, the officials will tell us, but that was the move that the official is giving us.
Tom Flores over there waving some of his troops to the sideline. And we said earlier in the game that we've been surprised that this kind of thing had not happened earlier. We didn't expect it all at one time. Chuck saying, just settle down. Don't lose your cool. Don't lose your poise. He's got a list, I think, Charlie.
I think you're right. And checking it twice.
We have 3 disqualification fouls.
Wow.
It's 53-56 for the Raiders, 71 for the Seahawks. The fouls occurred during continuous action. They offset, and it's 3rd down. The down counts. It's 3rd down.
They're saying that the fouls took place after the end of the play. They're going to negate each other, but the Raiders have lost 2 players, Rod Martin and Jeff Barnes, 2 linebackers. You're looking at the play that kind of set it all off. Let's see where Mike comes down. I think he's in bounds. I think his hips hit in bounds. And I think that was a good, I think he should have had the football there.
You're right.
But back at the line, they're gathering up the laundry. They're trying to say, who does this handkerchief belong to? Charlie, the other thing that happened on that play, as you look at another angle of that same play, let's see if where we can. Now he's got 1 foot down. If any other part of his body hits inside, he's inside.
I thought his buns were inside.
His buns were inside the line, and then he rolled out of bounds. Now, Millard, number 71, has been ejected from the game. That's costly for the Seattle Seahawks. They're already hurting at that tackle position. Ron Essink is on injured reserve. That means that they're really without a player. They're going to have to put Ron Borchard probably in there, or Connie Kawhi, and he's saying, why am I the one that gets out of there?
And for the Raiders, it was Jeff Barnes and Rod Martin.
Well, that's costly. That carries with it an automatic $500 fine from the league office. So it's the guy. I don't blame him for being angry. Plus, you don't get to play in the rest of the game.
So it's 3rd down and 4, back at the 41-yard line. Time remaining, 3:54. Raiders lead by 10, 13-3. And it is John Borchard replacing Millard at left tackle. And a flag is down. The pass is complete for the first down. That may be, I'm guessing, was it holding on Borchard? He just came in. Everybody nods in.
You know who they're going to put over there to test him. They put Howie Long over there, and we've seen a lot of experienced and first-line players who haven't been able to control it.
76, 10-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Yep, the new man in town.
Hell, they just put Howie over there on him and said, hey, let's find out if this guy can block. Borchard, who had his problems in that Monday night game not too long ago against San Francisco, left-hand side of your screen. We'll perhaps see him coming in. He's out there somewhere. The reason we don't see him is there he is. There's
he held it so long he couldn't get to the picture.
Got a hammer lock on him.
3rd down and 14. It is there. It is caught. It is Darrell Turner's first reception of the game, and it's a first down at the 35-yard line. Gain of 16. Mike Haynes with the tackle.
Get a chance to look down and watch some of the action again. They've got Borchard again trying to hold his man out of there, and he gets him pushed across. But watch the catch here. Darrell Turner streaking across, gets away from Mike Haynes. Stacy Turan for the first down.
At the Raider 35, down the sideline to Turner, and it's incomplete. He and Haynes battling for it.
Ball slightly thrown too far outside of the field, and Turner was able to bring it down, but had his feet in the white stripe on that one.
2 minutes and 45 seconds. That is the time remaining in the game.
Charlie, they say that if you wait long enough, the calls even out. I don't know if they have today. The Raiders have had a lot of bad calls on this.
Yeah, you're right. Passing breakdown for the Seahawks to the wide receivers, running backs, and tight end.
We'll come back to that. That's something I'd like to show you on that stat.
2nd down and 10. LA 35-yard line. Raiders lead by 10, 13-3. The Raiders win. They're the champs of the West. Flag is down. It's probably holding again. The pass is intercepted at the 31-yard line.
They haven't tagged him yet.
Mike Haynes returns it for about 18 yards.
Holding left tackle, 10 is used.
Borchard.
Raiders ball.
But they may rule the play dead back at the 31, which was the point of the interception.
Well, Mike Haynes, a moment ago, deprived of what we felt was an interception, waits it out this time. Watch him cut right in at the last second. Beautiful timing as he strips that football away from Byron Walker. And look at that. 4 of the top 5 active interceptors in the game of football on this field today. And of course, Mike Haynes just moved up on that list with that particular interception.
That makes number 39 in his career. So the Raiders have the ball at their own 31-yard line. First down with 2:32 left to go. And Marcus Allen adding to his total. That's his 27th carry. He had 106 yards just before that, Dave Brown, with the tackle. Let's go back to that panel, Merle.
Here's a panel that you might find interesting in the sense that it gives you a chance to look. You throw to the best receivers you have on the field. The Seahawks are going to the outside people. Basically, that's Largent. Tight ends, the Seahawks haven't had that kind of tight end help. 46, Todd Christensen, the man that accounts for most of those numbers. But with Dan Ross, oh, wait a minute. That's Marcus Allen down on the field. George Anderson, the trainer, quickly out. Dr. Rosenfeld. The one thing you can't afford to lose is your big play people, your game breakers. You've got to have your game breakers. It may be that he's just got a stinger. Looks like they're kind of pulling that arm away. Let's see what happened on that last play. Gets away from Randy Edwards there. It's a shot right there by Dave Brown. Gets popped. Kind of hard to see what happened. Hell, he's up. I think what happened is on that first pop on the head. Yeah, you see him grabbing his hand. I think what he's got is what we call a stinger. Just pinch that nerve in his neck a little bit, and it frightens you more than anything else.
Does it feel like when you hit your crazy bone?
It does. The hands, fingers go numb, and what scares you is if you do it often enough, that numbness may stay for several days. That's what David Hughes had for the Seattle Seahawks, and it kept him out for a number of weeks. He's just now back into the roster the last 2 weeks.
Mark the ball at the 34-yard line, second down and 7. 2 minutes and 25 seconds, that is the time remaining. Kenny King replacing Marcus Allen. Hawkins, the ball carrier. Seattle will stop the clock. What they're doing now, they're stopping the clock prior to the 2-minute mark. They use the 2-minute mark, hopefully, as the last time to stop the clock before fourth down. And that means that the Raiders would then be kicking, and they would at least have control of the offense, and they can control the clock when they're on offense.
Absolutely true. The other thing they're thinking about doing is trying to strip that football, trying to knock it away, and they've gotten several on the day. Charlie, when you look at these two teams, we talked about the similarities, the strong defenses, and both of these defenses have played outstanding games in this game today. Both special teams have come up with big plays. The two quarterbacks have been factors. They have made some positive plays, and they have not thrown interceptions. The difference in the game today, Marcus Allen. He and Kurt Warner, if you look at their numbers comparatively, it's Allen that has swung the pendulum onto the side of the Raiders.
And the big play in the touchdown drive, the pass to Dokie Williams for Mark Wilson. Today's telecast presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Los Angeles Raiders and the National Football League is prohibited. You're right. Throughout the game, it has been Marcus Allen. No question about it. 13-3. The margin is 10 points, and the time 2:19. Time remaining. Dokie Williams comes in motion. Here is Hawkins, first down. And they'll take him out of bounds at the 50-yard line, and that'll stop the clock. John Harris rides him out of bounds after a gain of 15 yards on the play. Clock stopped now at 2:11.
There's a man hoping he'll get another opportunity to do something with his talent. Craig has not had a spectacular day, but he has not hurt the Seahawks as he has in some of their ball games this year.
Interesting, you know, they've gone 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 wins, 2 losses.
They're right on track.
Right on track again
today.
Yeah. Hawkins staying in bounds, flag down on the play.
Charlie, as erratic as Craig has been in his quarterbacking for Seattle, Mark Wilson has really taken a lot of heat here in Los Angeles. But one thing he's done over the last 3 weeks in particular, and I think improved on it today, is play well in the second half.
Offense holding, be a 10-yard penalty enforcement from the spot of the foul.
Look at the numbers for Mark Wilson in the second half of the last 3 games.
Yes. You know, we talked about that earlier, the inconsistency, but then consistency within a game. Whereas Craig has had good games and bad games. Craig's had a pretty good ball game here. Wilson, though, had the big play of the second half.
He certainly did, to set up that run by Marcus. But the other thing you got to like about Mark Wilson is, in spite of his problems, he threw a lot of interceptions last week and made some bad choices. Look at their record. Look at the record.
2-12 since 1982 in the final 4 games of the season. That is the record for the Raiders. 2-minute mark. We'll be back in a moment. Is that Mike Davis in the white shirt talking
Mike
to
Davis, right in the middle of that. Mike Haynes and the man in the, well, you see his head coming down in there occasionally. There he is with his head turned. That's the usual strong safety. There's his face. Mike Davis, who's had such a successful career here. Up until the latter part of this season, it was unusual to see anything but that standard starting alignment for that Raider defense. And they had been so rugged in playing week in and week out. But they lost McElroy with a hamstring problem. Davis has gone out with an injury problem, and they say he is ready to come back. Probably will be activated next week, or at least in time for the playoffs.
2 minutes to go, first down, and 20 yards to go at the 40. Frank Hawkins gets the call. The Seahawks have 1 timeout remaining, and they'll take it right here. The ball at the 42-yard line, so it'll be second down and 18. And we'll take a timeout. We'll be back in just a moment.
We'll come back.
Frank Hawkins, the ball carrier, as we come back to the live action. From the 43 to the 49-yard line, gain of 6. It'll be third down and 11.
The 2 running backs, you see the difference in their performance today. Part of that in opportunity, but certainly the major amount of that in performance. And Allen, as we said, has really been the difference in particular in the second half of this game.
And Kurt Warner has really been stopped in the last 4 ball games. Total rushing offense in the last 4 combined 175 yards.
Not an impressive stat, Charlie.
No. And maybe a reflection of the offensive line. Frank Hawkins, the ball carrier, and he will move to the Seattle 48-yard line, and it'll be fourth down, and Ray Guy will come in to kick. But you cannot forget the comeback of Kurt Warner last year with a terrible knee injury that he had in the first game in the Kingdome against Cleveland, and the rehabilitation just to be back and playing is quite an accomplishment.
The other thing he said to me, and I know he's right about this, he said, I worked so hard to come back. He said, I didn't take any time off. From the time of the operation until now, there hasn't been any break. And he said, I think my body just finally got tired, he said, I'm starting to get a little bit of a second wind, but that is a tough fall. Maybe after a season's rest, an off-season's rest, he can come back and play as he did in his rookie season.
And Ray Guy takes a timeout. I thought they were just going to let the 30-second clock run down. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. The coordinating producer of football is Ted Nathanson. Today's game being produced by Larry Cirillo and directed by Ted Nathanson. NFL 85 produced by John J. Filippelli. Sorry there, Flip. NFL 85 directed by Bucky Gunts. And these are the people that make the rest of it all possible. By the way, for the viewers in Denver, there's still a chance for a wild card. But here's what has to happen. Denver now has to beat Seattle next week, and the loser Monday night between Miami and New England has to lose the following week, and it'd be the wild card.
Not an impossible scenario.
Not at all. Not at all.
But it's not what the Denver Bronco fans wanted to see happen. They wanted to see the Raiders lose today, and then they wanted to beat Seattle next weekend.
Ray Guy going for the corner. Scansey takes it at the 8-yard line. He's back to the 15. And returns to about the 19-yard line. 39 yards on the kick, an 11-yard return. And Seattle, trailing by 10, will have one final fling.
Charlie, one thing, and it's probably worth talking about here. One of the differences between these two organizations, as we look at Marcus's stats in the last 8 games, wow, 4.9 average, expectations. And talking to Al Davis, you're aware that his team is always being told and being reminded that winning is expected here. The desperation pass hanging out. Mike Haynes said it well. He came here from New England. He said, we won a big game just after I got here. I went into the locker room, and he said, everybody was just sitting there, and I thought we should celebrate. And everybody said, hey, we celebrate when we get to the Super Bowl.
And here are the games remaining. New England and Miami playing on Monday night. Seattle, that's Denver at Seattle, I believe, on Friday night. Cleveland at the Jets, Cincinnati at New England, Buffalo at Miami, and the Raiders at the Rams. That's a week from Monday night. Christmas season is upon us, and it's time for the letters to Santa Claus, and I have one I've just got to work in. It's from Chris. It said, for Christmas, please send me a handgun, a machine gun, a shotgun, a bazooka, revolver, a tank, a missile, and a flamethrower. I'm planning a surprise attack on my brother Charlie.
Is that your brother writing that, Charlie? I think
There'll be no surprise attacks here.
No surprise attack. I think the Seattle defense would have liked to have had a few of those weapons to hopefully have shut down Marcus Allen a little better than they did today.
Now let's look at the playoff picture. The Raiders' record will be 11-4, Miami 10-4, New England 10-4.
That was Seattle disappear.
The Jets in Denver.
Of course, all of that to be clarified now as those teams match up next week.
And in addition, the winner in the Central Division. One second left between the Raiders and the championship of the West.
Lester Hayes. He's run out the clock.
And runs out of bounds. And the crowd of 80,000 here in the Coliseum joining the celebration, led now by Lester Hayes. The final, the Los Angeles Raiders 13, the Seattle Seahawks 3. And stay tuned to NFL 85 right after these messages.